Hello, I am Bo.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is Old Games Plus, episode 7. We are now on our 7th episode of our first season, Imperfect Works, covering Xenogears, our Xenogears memories. Please check earlier episodes for show premise, because I'm sick of repeating it every single episode. I'll want to do it again here soon, but today I'm not feeling it. Like, who comes in on episode 7?
Yeah.
Like
episode 7 is like a really weird place to jump in on.
Shows up. This is not an American comic series. Like, you don't start at weird points.
Yeah, this isn't issue 7, volume 1,
That's
special edition 12.
That's something that pisses me off about any series. There should not be a series that exists where your proper starting point is not 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate when you see forums and shit where people are like, I'm just getting into the series, where should I start? If they made it to where it doesn't start at 1 and it's going to make sense if I start at 1, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
That is specifically a American comics problem too.
Yes,
because they do so many reboots, and even if they don't do reboots, they have 12 different lines of comic that cover the same damn character. Like, it's just ridiculous.
So anyway, our guy Faye is getting jumped in.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a member of the gang. He's just getting jumped in. Like,
this is just to prove it, give him a pecking order, basically.
So basically, you can win all these fights if you power leveled like Aaron did in the footage.
Yeah,
you're going to do well. But eventually, you're going to get to the big dog,
and
the big dog is it's kind of a phenomenon that's died. Well, this whole genre of game has died.
In a lot of ways.
The classic JRPG with an overworld and turn-based combat. This is really on its way out. But an element from it that's really on its way out is unwinnable battles.
Yeah,
Games
which used to be super
littered
common
with these. Yeah. I can't think of a classic JRPG except for Final Fantasy VII that didn't have one.
Yeah, 7 didn't have one.
Of my head.
Did Dragoon have any? I don't think Dragoon... No, wait.
Dragoon did.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
8 might not have had any. You might have been able to just
beat
everything in Final Fantasy VIII.
Weirdly enough, I don't think the Final Fantasies were very notorious about it. I think it was the other ones. Most of the other ones that were pretty bad about it.
I used to hate them because you'd use all your precious items and everything only to find out that you weren't supposed to win.
You couldn't win no matter what.
But what I would do is I would just load my save and go lose on purpose. But
yeah.
Anyway, Rico is an unwinnable battle. Rico will beat you.
Because he does like dumb damage. Even I spent a lot of time just power leveling, and right now Faye's max level. And I've got the best gear currently in the game, which is junk, but it's as good as it'll get. So like Faye's a heavy hitter right now, and Rico though in this fight he does like 800 damage like per round of attacking, which is basically all of your health.
Right.
It's funny. Like, although one thing I do like about in Xenogears, I kind of mentioned this a minute ago off air, was at least Xenogears kind of gives a reason why he's unbeatable in this situation, because a lot of RPGs didn't do that. They would just be like, no, you're not going to win, and then like in some of them you would literally you'd have another like little bit of dialogue, and then you'd fight the villain again and you'd be able to beat him then. But like in this one, Faye just spent 4 days unconscious after whatever it was that happened at the border. He's basically been like in a coma, and he's literally just woken up. And on top of that, he doesn't want to fight. So like it makes sense that Rico is able to kind of womp on him.
Yeah.
One cool thing in this fight that I almost forgot about is you load into the fight, and Rico immediately comes over and he grabs he grabs Faye by the neck, right? And Rico's like, come on, man. Come on. This all you got? Is this what you got, buddy? And Faye's like, I don't want to do this. And Rico's like, that's a shame, because I'm probably going to break your neck if you don't do something. And then we just get a text dialogue out of nowhere, and it just says, out of the way. And then all of a sudden, there's like a flash, and Rico's knocked across the screen on his butt and is instantly wounded, and Faye's just sitting on the ground exhausted. So there was like a mysterious voice that Faye heard. And a boost of power. Right. And it's gone. And Faye's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this.
Very mysterious. Very mysterious indeed. So we've got... So we're in. We're in now. We can go downstairs, get us something to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. One thing I loved as a kid, and I'm seeing it now that I kind of like also, is that when you fight Rico's little squad and do your baptism, they assign you a rank based on how good you do.
Yeah.
And they talk about how, like, oh, you know, based on your rank, you get more privileges and blah, blah, blah. What that generally translates into during gameplay is, like, you'll get more money if you, like, hunt monsters in the sewer and sell their parts. You'll get, like, better money from, like, gear fights in the tournament and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's about it for you. But one thing that is cool, though, is that whenever you go to the, like, the cafeteria, based off of your rank, you can get different meals. And they claim that each one has different status effects. And so, like, the A rank one is, like, Boosta limit. And they're like, eat this and your agility will go through the roof. And Faye's like, all right, let's try this out. And he eats it, and then it just starts flashing. And Faye's like, what is this? The time, the universe, everything. And then it just cuts back to normal.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But, like, I don't know why I love it. Like, apparently this freaking prison food is so bomb
that it helps you transcend your human limits. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, Faye gets out of there. He gets his collar on, and you finally get your chance to wander around D Block. And D Block is depressing, to say the least.
There's one guy here that's not depressed, though.
No,
there's one guy here that has no reason to be depressed.
No, and he is overly not depressed.
That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Joe.
Oh yeah, Joe is here.
Big Joe's here, and he scams you.
That's right. I need to find him.
You didn't find him?
I didn't go after him yet. I forgot he was there somehow.
Yeah, Big Joe scams you. He offers to sell you, like, I can't remember what it is.
I'll have to find him.
It's like M-Disc or something. It's supposed to be like a music disc or
yes.
something. Yeah.
Yes,
he leads you down
yes.
the alley, and he basically just robs you of 500 gold.
Yeah. I remember that now. I'm going to have to find him because I haven't found him yet. And I thought he did a pretty decent job of exploring, but I'm going to have to hunt him down now.
It's one of the few times that I almost like ripped the cord out. It's one of the few times in the game where you encounter Joe and he's not in a place that no human being should be.
Yeah.
Just thinking about life.
Or he's not like in a bar. Like what's funny is like
the bar fight in Dazel is. I need to go back and listen to that episode and see how well we covered that, because like one thing I didn't catch when I was a kid that I absolutely caught is when he gets cut off in that scene, he's about to call him a pussy.
Yeah.
I think we covered that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But
yeah, it's so funny.
Joe, yeah, and the best
I can't
part
believe
of
I forgot
Joe,
about that almost.
The best part of Big Joe is we find out that there is a good excuse for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't unless you read Perfect Works, but there's a good excuse for all this nonsense with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But so D Block, this is basically Escape from New York.
It really is in a lot of ways.
It's an entire portion of a city that has been blocked off, and the prisoners within have the freedom to have lives.
Yeah.
Within.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to stay there, and there is a collar on them that will make them die if they try to leave.
Yeah. If they wander too far from D Block, they just go boom.
Anyway, as you continue exploring, you find out there's a new dock in town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You get word from your new friend Hammer.
You meet a rat man named Hammer.
Yeah, and he's a hustler as well. He says he's a supplier. He's a hustler.
He's a supplier, but he's absolutely a hustler. Yes.
What we do get another funny scene where Faye is like, Faye's talking to him, and Hammer keeps calling him bro.
Yes.
And Faye's like, stop calling me bro. And
Faye hates familial terms.
He does.
Hates them.
And it's probably because the last people who ever did anything like that got vaporized. But
it's like Guts. He doesn't let anyone in because he's trying to protect them.
Yeah. And it's so funny. He's like, stop calling me bro. And Hammer's like, but bro, you're bro. And then Faye's like, oh, fine, just do whatever you want. And he's like, that's the spirit, bro. Like, he just bullies Faye into it.
Very thick. And like, he even has the 90s that weird hat and those like thin glasses that hustlers always wore in movies.
He's actually got a pensée.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the single glass, but it does hook over his nose instead of going on a chain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's actually a pensée. I didn't notice that when I was a kid. I noticed it on this playthrough.
I didn't know as a child or an adult that was called a pensée.
Yeah, the little single like monocle thing with the chain usually, like Theodore Roosevelt and whatever wore. Yeah, those are also called pensée. I think I'm saying that right. They're called pensées, and I don't know. I guess maybe that's the French fancy word for it. I have no clue.
Huh.
I don't know the the etymology on it.
He is what the French call a certain, I don't know what.
Oh man. But yeah, you meet Hammer. He's way too happy about your existence. Suspiciously happy, but he does at one point let you know, hey, we got a new doctor. We should go say hi. And Faye's like, why? And he's like, so I can get black market medical deals, bro. And Faye's like, this is dumb, but I'm going. It's only polite.
Yeah. But you go, and wouldn't you know it, the new doctor is Seitan Izuki.
It's everyone's favorite doctor
Yes.
who mysteriously gets into everything.
He has been assigned the new doctor of D Block. Don't ask no questions.
Yeah, we don't know how.
We don't know how.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with him having several connections to several organizations that control every act on the face of the earth.
It's definitely not that. And it's got to be. It has to be that the nurse, the lovely nurse that helped Faye, honestly didn't want to be there anymore, and didn't just magically disappear.
You actually find her again.
Yeah, because we're told that she decided to go work in the civilian sector. She got a job there. It's all too suspicious.
Oh yeah, no, it's
because everything with Seitan is suspicious.
So anyway, you have an option here, and that is Faye's like, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm just resigned to this. And as you pointed out, as we spoke before the show, Seitan absolutely does the whole, I guess your friends just don't mean shit to you. That's fine. And Faye's like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean they don't mean shit to me? And he's like, oh, you made a promise to help Margie if something should happen to Bart. So I guess, but you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's just a promise you made to a presumably dead friend. And Faye's like, presumably dead?
It is the most cold-hearted and manipulative moment we've gotten from Seitan thus far. The most blatant.
Oh my God.
I would say.
It's almost like Faye's almost getting worse than Yui at this point.
Oh, yeah. Like way worse. Like, in a lot of ways. Like, it's just not over the course of 10, 20 years, however long. Well, not even that long. I mean, they're Seitan's,
what is
24?
supposed to be a marriage to the love of your life.
Yeah. They've only been together for like 4 years. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm assuming, because Seitan's like 24.
He'll get better. She could fix him.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm sure she can. Yeah.
So
he's a smart man. He'll come around.
Anyway, Faye's like, oh yeah, I gotta get out. I'm gonna do the fights. I gotta get out of here. And but they think there might be an alternative. Maybe Doc's smart enough to get this collar off. And Doc's like, I'm not so sure. And you can actually pick. You can pick whether you want him to or not. But if you pick that you want him to, you just see this cut scene of everything blowing up. But then it cuts back.
Yeah.
And
Faye has like a premonition.
See, that would be a bad idea.
It's what's funny is there's actually a random chance. So normally you get that premonition. What happens is Faye just loses his shit while Seitan's messing with it, and Faye screams, and Seitan's like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Like, I'm trying to do this. Like, what? Just calm down."
You asked me to do this.
Yeah, he's like, calm down. Then Faye chickens out, and they're like, fine, we'll leave it alone. However, it's also possible that what'll happen is Seitan will accidentally break the safety device, accidentally, quote unquote. He'll break the safety device off the bomb, making it to where it's a literal ticking bomb and could go off randomly at any moment. It doesn't, but like, it's funny because Seitan breaks it, and he's like, oh no, and then he just jumps back and hides his hands behind his back, and Faye's like, Doc, what is that? And Hammer looks there, and he's like, Doc, that's the safety device. And Faye's like, what's a safety device? And Hammer's like, a safety device is what keeps a bomb from blowing up, dumbass.
I love that Faye has every reason not to know things in this whole game, and just people being like, how do you not know that, dumbass?
And what's funny is it actually comes up so regularly, but there's so few times where people, like, the text makes it sound like they're tired of explaining things to Faye. They're like, look, I know you have amnesia. I know you spent all of your life that you know of in a tiny village, literally on the other side of the continent in the woods.
Faye, this is exhausting. That is a toilet. Okay?
Yeah. You should know what this is. All right. Actually, you know what? Faye wouldn't know what a toilet is. He only knew what a bathtub was because Seitan let him use his occasionally. Let's be real. Lahan was not a good village. Like, it's probably for the best.
Like, he put those people out of their misery. They probably
they were pooping in holes. They didn't want to live.
The people that survived probably went to like cities, and like they'd wake up in the morning and be like, well, you know what? It hasn't been my turn for latrine duty, so I better go out and dig one. And everyone's like, what are you talking about?
God, that's what the well in the center of town was in. The one you can fall in and get the fucking monster eye. No wonder Faye jumped out of there so quick.
So,
Ugh.
oh my gosh, his trauma just compounds and compounds and
No wonder he
compounds.
vaporized that town. I would have too.
Anyway, him and Hammer go down and register for the fights.
Yeah, he gets registered, and they're like, all right, your fights start right now. Let's get in there. Let's go. And Faye's like, what? Hold on. Like, I only get a breather. Like, nah, man.
We didn't cover it, but
the battle committee
met with him and was like, they were the ones that offered to let him fight, and he told them no. So he goes back after his conversation with Sight and everything, tells them yes.
Yeah.
And anyway, the minute he tells them yes, they're like, oh, good. So because it's time. And I remember, I really liked this whole sequence when I was a kid. It really felt like everything was picking up. Like the whole thing from the moment you get into D block until you get out, it feels like things are starting to pick up. Its pacing reminded me of Final Fantasy VII's a lot.
Yeah.
Like people working towards a goal and everything. So
yeah.
I was
definitely in the Midgar part too, where things just keep moving.
So as a kid, I was really excited throughout this whole part. And as an adult, I was being extra careful to pay more attention to details that I would have missed because of my excitement as a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, you get into the gear battles, and this is a fun mini game.
It is, and it's really, see, this is another thing that's a bygone era in a lot of ways, is these mini games.
Yes, you don't get like I'm playing through Judgment right now, and there's a ton of mini games in Judgment, and it's really heartwarming to see that. Like, it really does me good.
I really like that because like this, the gear fights in Xenogear, this little arena, because it's like it's not like random battles like you would think it would be. It's literally you're in an arena, totally different controls, totally different way of fighting.
More like a 3D fighting game.
Yeah. And
a very primitive one, but
still, it would. I mean, it could have, in a way, probably sold independently on PlayStation. You know,
yeah.
But it was stuff like that that was so cool. I mean, like Final Fantasy VII had a ton of them. One of the most famous and also one of the most difficult when I was a kid was the Fort Condor fight. I always struggled with that as a kid in Final Fantasy VII.
The Fort Condor mini game in the remake, in the DLC for the remake, is sick. I really enjoyed it.
I still need to do that one,
but because it's basically Warhammer.
Oh, nice!
In that world, Fort Condor is basically Warhammer. Like people are playing it, and Yuffie gets into it.
Oh, that's
when
cool.
she comes to Midgar.
That's really cool. I like that. But yeah,
you can shoot key fireballs in this. Mini game,
which will make you overheat if you do it too much. You can do boosted sprinting, jumping.
So a lot of your opponents are Rico's lieutenants, and they really don't like Faye.
Yeah,
they really don't like Faye. So
Leonardo,
one of them eventually decides he's like, I'm gonna make sure I win this, and he goes and he sabotages Weltall.
Yeah,
and
it's your first fight too, the jerk.
So basically, this guy's plan is like, I'm gonna make it to where he loses, and I'm gonna make him lose by murdering him.
I'm already a prisoner, so
what are they gonna do?
Screw it.
What are they gonna do?
What are they gonna do? But yeah, and he blows you up.
Yep. Weltall explodes with Faye inside of it, and Faye is such a he's such a badass that it just knocks him out.
It literally just knocks him out for a day. Of course, Sighton's like, if it was any other gear than Weltall, you would have been dead.
Yeah, so Sighton patches you back up.
Yeah.
And
then you get back into it.
But there are cutscenes of something mysterious going on in the sewer.
Yeah. So we get to see the lieutenants. We see Leonardo and one of the other dudes. They've gone down to the sewers of Keslev. That's one of the very few things that prisoners in D Block are allowed to do. They get to go into the sewers
to train
and
against the monsters.
They get to train and kill monsters. It does the city good. It gives them a way of earning money and yeah.
It's basically like the weightlifting area in the prison.
Yeah. Same difference. Yeah. And so they go down there and Leonardo's kind of bragging a bit, but he's also talking about how it's weird down here tonight. Sewers are weird tonight. The rats are restless. Which,
you hear that, man? You hear that?
I'm pretty sure rats are always restless, but
you never see calm rats.
Yeah, not wild ones, not sewer rats.
I've actually never seen a rat, like an actual rat.
Pet rats are dope. Pet rats are dope.
The pet rats are dope. I'm not talking about pet
but
rats.
Like a wild rat.
Seen, like a wild rat.
Yeah, wild rats are probably assholes, I'm assuming. But they're definitely not chill.
Right. But the first word that comes to mind when I hear rat is actually scurry.
Yeah. Skitter. But yeah, he's complaining about the rats, and then they hear a noise, and we get this weird disembodied view, and it's all red. And it comes around in the sewer, and it finds one of the dudes, and there's a scream, and then it cuts back to the other dude.
It does the thing where right as it's upon him is when he turns around. And
he's like, "What the heck?" And and then the other guy,
very
like
Sam Raimi horror movie kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the other guy, he runs to it, and he sees what's happening. He's like, "Oh God, what is that?" And he tries to run, and whatever it is gets him too. And it's after that Faye wakes up.
Yes.
And we're like, "All right, well, you didn't die, so." Let's get back on the robot, Shinji. I mean, Faye.
You didn't die. Well, all's repaired. Everything's fine. Let's get back to work.
Let's go.
But Rico gives you a visit.
Yeah. After you get to do a couple rounds.
I think it's right before your match with him.
You get to do technically your first 2 days, and basically qualifying for like the finals, and then that's when Rico comes to you. And in terms of gameplay, it's literally like you go. You have 3 matches. You go sleep.
It's no time at all.
You go back, have 3 matches, go sleep. In game, it's 2 days. But Rico comes and visits, and he's like, so you remember all those lieutenants I had? They're dead. They went into the sewers and disappeared.
And what I love about this is what you said earlier. It struck me because what it is Faye has the most motive, right?
Yeah.
He has the most motive, but you know what else Faye has? A fucking airtight alibi, and no one cares.
No, even Seitan. Even Seitan during the dialogue, Seitan's like, well, I shouldn't say even Seitan, because of course Seitan would do this. But like, even Seitan's like Rico explains his case. He's like, all right, so we jumped you. They tried to kill you, right? You've got motive. And Seitan's like, yeah, Faye, I mean, I see the logic. I see the logic.
But the thing is, he has an airtight alibi.
It's
He's
like,
literally in the hospital.
Yeah.
He's in the like, I can't think of a single murder trial that would proceed when the alibi is a hospital stay.
He was unconscious in the hospital, recovering from his explosion wounds.
That is the most verifiable alibi in the world. Like
the only way would be more airtight.
I was in a coma.
I was in a literal coma.
Coma is the most like if you can prove that you were in a coma, like you can get away with anything.
Literally,
if you have proof of comatose status.
Where did you go? I'm sorry, officer. I was brain dead at the time.
Like, I guess people in the Xenogears world are just so stupid. They're just like, well, sleepwalking. Oh, sleep. I didn't think of sleepwalk.
Well, what I assume what it is it's Rico's not a smart man. And he's like, yeah, he got blown up, but he still could. If it was me.
If it was me, I'd still get up from that coma.
Because Rico's a pro wrestler. I forgot. I totally forgot, but he's literally a pro wrestler. So he would have given this Macho Man speech about getting up and giving 110%.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah. Seitan, on the other hand, is clearly just being an asshole because you were the attending doctor, Seitan, and you're still being like, Faye, he makes a point. I could back you on this one, but he does make a point.
So, by the way, the fact that he has an airtight alibi, like when I was a kid, I remember this whole time just being like, what's Faye gonna do? How's he gonna prove his innocence?
What are we gonna do?
As an adult, I'm just sitting there like he was literally in comatose at the time of the murder.
We literally saw him laying in bed groaning in pain. Like the game bothers to give us text bubbles of Faye's emoting his pain from his explosion wounds.
There's nothing more official in old JRPGs than text bubbles.
I know, right? You know it's legit if you get a real text bubble.
Oh, and if the character portrait changes, who doggy? That's important.
Oh,
you better pay attention for that character portrait.
If anything changes there, then you know some serious stuff happened.
Like Faye has a character portrait change, I think, where he's like looking down.
Yo, the sad Faye. Yeah, sad Faye. Ellie had hers when she was on the drive where she was literally looking down her nose at the lamb. Yeah, it's really cool when they do that kind of stuff because it's a very simple way of quickly explaining something changed.
But anyway, despite Faye having a perfect alibi, he still has to go into this. He feels he has to help.
Yeah, he volunteers for it. He's like, I'm going to prove myself innocent, which Faye you don't have to do.
Because Seitan has earned enough of his trust that Seitan can weaponize doubt.
He can literally weaponize anything. And honestly, the whole thing, I think, was because Seitan, because Faye's...
I remember thinking Seitan was such a cool character when I was a kid. Like,
I know.
I was always like, Seitan, I loved the smart guy when I was a kid. And like as an adult, I'm just playing it, and I'm like, Seitan is the most manipulative of abusive human being.
I remember distinctly when we were kids talking about like the game and just like talking over the story and talking about the characters and how you thought Satan was just like the coolest dude. Right, because he was like he was like the mentor guy. He was a smart guy. He always had the answer. Later on, basically disc 2, he becomes even cooler because he
has
upgrades.
a sword
he
now.
upgrades to a sword, which I really wish we could have gotten more story on because they make it very clear there's a big freaking story behind the fact that he went and got the sword.
We're going to cover a line he says when he gets the sword when we get there. And it might be, this one line might be a whole episode. It's the most absurd thing a character says in any form of media ever, given the character's history.
Oh my God.
That we know of. It's the word. It is the most like. It is the most abusive boyfriend line ever.
It's so funny how Satan is now. Like looking at it, because like as a kid, I liked Satan well enough.
The Twitter red flag trend. That's Satan.
That is literally
like, that is literally him. So,
but yeah, he wants to go too, and that's why I think this whole thing. I think the reason he didn't back Faye is because he wanted to go too. Because like Rico's like, yeah, men are getting killed in the sewers, and Satan's like, are you talking about the mysterious events in the sewers?
Right. He's obviously got a very academic curiosity about what's going on.
And he's like, I can manipulate Faye into letting this happen.
So,
but you go into the sewers.
Yes.
And
it's a bad dungeon.
I hated the sewers as a kid. I hated this dungeon.
It's a bad dungeon.
It is intentionally designed to be somewhat confusing.
Yes, because the whole thing is you're trying to track a murderer.
Yeah.
So,
and not only that, but like they did a good job of designing these sewer tunnels because like you get stuff that just goes off in random directions, that dead ends. You have to backtrack. There are things that you would never think would hurt you. Like there are water pipes dumping sewage water into the main sewage.
They hurt. They take HP.
3 hits.
Yep.
3 points a hit. There are fans, which these make sense, but they're like fans to keep the air moving. If those hit you, that's 5 HP. You know, but like the water, you're not going to think about that when
it's
you're
gross.
Running. Yeah, you're just going to be like, oh, look, there's water.
You're already in the sewer.
Yeah. And like as a kid, I never thought about that. I was just like, oh, look.
I didn't realize they were hurting me when I was a kid.
I heard the ooh kind of thing, and then like the character flash, I was like, that's weird. And then I would keep going, and then I'd get into a fight. I'd be like, why am I half health?
That ooh makes me think of Minecraft.
Oh yeah,
Oof.
yeah, because it does more of a like
oomph.
Yeah.
Oomph.
Yeah, because it gives more of a it's like a bash sound. It's not like a character making a noise.
Yeah,
it's more just
the
like
one you made though. Was
I did the Minecraft Steve because like that's like default pain noise now in 2022.
So anyway, you investigate this, and there's a lot more going on than meets the eye.
Yeah, because you
as a kid, I didn't understand any of this at all.
Yeah, no.
But
I
as an
didn't
adult, what you're basically uncovering is that this is a thing, not a person.
Mm-hmm.
But it was probably at one point a person.
Yes, they make that very clear after they run into it that it had human intelligence. Satan makes that very... See, again, Satan's the one who says it.
The best thing is after you defeat... Because basically what you find out is there's a bell.
Yeah.
There's a bell that will draw it, and wherever this bell rings, it will go...
Mm-hmm.
It will make a beeline for where this bell rings, and so that's how you draw it out.
You
found this bell in his room. You find his lair.
Yeah, you find its lair, and you find the bell in there, and then you have to go and find one of the tunnels it uses.
Satan comments on memory.
Yeah.
And how memory survives and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very interesting conversation. So anyway, you go, you ring the bell.
Yeah. You have to do a sewer, one of the tunnels that hasn't murdered somebody yet.
Yes, it has to be somewhere it hasn't been yet. You ring the bell, it shows up.
Yeah. And this thing is red rum.
And basically, it really heavily, again, as a kid, I didn't pick up any of this.
No, I didn't know. I just thought I was
picked
like,
up
red
the
rum, that's cool.
instructions they were telling me to do to get it out. But what it is this bell rings.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up, and it never expressly tells us this, but what we're supposed to gather from it is it shows up, and you aren't what it expected to be ringing the bell.
Yeah. And
the bell carries an expectation with it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that you don't have to do at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easily missable. But in probably about 10 hours of game time, you're going to find out why it expects something to be where this bell is, and it's heart-wrenching.
Yes.
So,
oh God. Ugh.
Anyway, this is and we're actually getting to the part of this game where This was a very, this game was probably the realest look at mental health any fictional narrative had done in the 1990s. And I'm
Easily.
not, it's very interesting how this game presents the processing of trauma. So anyway, you fight Red Rum. This creature is called Red Rum. It's a terrifying looking creature.
Yeah,
it's a terrifying boss battle.
And it's hard.
You defeat it.
Yep.
And basically you kill it. And Seitan goes. He's developed a new MMO. A new MMO. He has developed a new MMO. It will destroy World of Warcraft.
It just works.
Which it turns out that all those people back in like 2007 and 8 that were making the Warcraft killer, all you had to do was let Warcraft be for a while.
Let Blizzard do their own thing.
Blizzard dig their own grave because it turns out they did.
They did a fantastic job of it too.
So
now they're owned by Microsoft.
Yes,
Have fun with that.
That's going to be a weird ownership, I guess. I don't know. I don't care.
The whole thing's weird.
I don't care.
Sony owns Bungie now. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
It's
weirdly accurate.
Nice Ghostbusters reference.
I know, right?
It's true. This man has no dick. That's another good. That's actually a really good example of watching something when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And then watching it as an adult.
I did not realize how many of those movies.
There was a lot in Ghostbusters of those moments where you were laughing because your parents were laughing.
Yeah. Well, like the scene where Ray gets the blowjob from the ghost.
Yep. Literally, it's a blowjob from the ghost.
Never knew that. Like
the menstrual cycle joke at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I just want to see Slimer.
Yeah.
I just want to see Slimer.
It's weird going back and seeing all those movies that had all the SNL guys in it and how many jokes as a child I didn't get. Even Blues Brothers.
And how comfortable our parents were just letting us watch these movies.
Yeah. No thought in the world.
Beetlejuice had the F word in it.
It did.
It's like the funniest use of the F word ever, too.
Nice fucking model.
My favorite thing about Beetlejuice is you don't realize, like when you're a kid, but as you grow older, he's just a scuzzy guy.
Yeah.
He's just a scummy guy that happened to die.
Yeah, he's just like
he's...
I always imagine in life he was probably like a card shark or something.
Right.
You know?
Like it's a fantastic... Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So good.
It's a fucking fantastic movie. But anyway, Seitan has developed a new MO, and what it is after Faye takes an action that Seitan couldn't stop pushing him to do, Faye injects the moral... Faye then informs Faye... After Faye has passed the event horizon of this moral quandary, Seitan informs him that there was indeed a moral quandary present. So what
he gives a too little too late explanation.
Red Rum dies, and Seitan's like, you know what? He displayed human intelligence. And he goes through all the shit you saw before you killed it that is indicative of this creature having human intelligence. And he's like, this thing must have once been something that was or resembled human. And now we have ended its life.
Yeah.
And
Faye's just like, what?
And he's talking about redemption and all that after
you slaughter it.
After you pass the point of no return. So anyway, Rico's pleased as punch.
Yeah, he's good.
He's avenged his boys. He goes back up to the surface.
Yeah.
But he suffered an arm injury.
Yep.
During the battle.
He got a busted arm from good old Red Rum.
And so Faye shows concern. So now we're back to Rico's like, you better not hold back because I'm not going to be holding back.
It's one of the most.
But mind you, I'm going to be not holding back with a clear injury on one of the arms I use to operate my gear. But don't hold back. But also note that I have an injury. Wink, wink.
It is one of the most 90s anime moments in the game.
It's
because he literally gives the whole "you better bring all you got."
You if you don't,
or else you might not walk out of that ring.
Which is a good example of Japanese storytelling not translating well to the West. Because to fully enjoy Japanese storytelling, I really feel like you have to have some knowledge of their values and stuff.
Definitely.
You don't need to be like an expert on Japan.
But you have to know a lot of the basics.
You need to know I'm encountering that a lot in Judgment, and you encountered a lot in the Yakuza games because murder is a big deal in these games.
Yes.
But as an American, you're playing them. You're like, but aren't they gangsters?
Yeah, they're gangsters.
Like they're gangsters. Why are they so? Why are they so worried about murder? But it's like you need to understand that even amongst criminals, murder's a big fucking deal.
It's different. Yeah, the Yakuza. One could argue that the Yakuza are like one of the biggest and worst criminal organizations in the entire world. the Yakuza still does not fit with what we Americans associate organized crime. We
Absolutely
Americans
not.
think Al Capone. That's what
exactly.
we think.
We think
brutal,
baby
ruthless,
face.
Yeah.
We
You
think-
know, and they do these awful, blatant things because
Yes.
they can.
Yes.
And it's just it's a totally different mindset.
And then you play these Yakuza games, and they're guys in tracksuits sitting around an office that beat up people that owe them money occasionally.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
And-
it's like, I knew people like this in junior high.
Yeah.
over here.
It's like this is not unfamiliar to me.
And it's just one thing, I just chalk it up that Japan is actually a civilization.
Yeah.
And we live on Fury Road.
Yes. I would say that's 100% correct.
Basically why
America was founded by all the assholes who didn't want to listen to anyone, and that's just us now.
Yeah, it's just like how Australia was founded by a penal colony, and now they're all gruff.
And now look at them.
But
they just did a perfect min max of their skill tree.
So anyway, they have that little exchange.
Yeah.
Rico goes back to bed.
Yeah.
Snuggles in with his teddy bear and
I'm
writes in his diary about, today me and my new friend Faye.
He's like
beat a
kicking
monster.
his feet while he's
we
riding.
beat a monster in the sewers, but tomorrow I'm gonna have to face him in battle. And I told him not to hold back. Hope he doesn't. And writes a little heart.
Yeah, heart, smiley face.
So Faye goes to bed, and we are dumped with a lot of cutscenes.
And we get a lot. Like, this is another one. It's Xenogears MO in a way. They don't give you much, and then they give you everything.
So a floating ball with TV screens on it that have people on them show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything
Nope.
like this before. There's TV screens, and all the TV screens, they're not facing each other. Again, it's a sphere.
It's a sphere.
And these TV screens are interposed on it at
Yeah.
different intervals, so they're all
Like
facing
two
away.
of them are like just got a busy like channel out thing on it. There's something rotating around the thing, and they're in a room.
But they're
Question mark?
they're all speaking to each other, and they're all debating.
Yes.
And they mention a name here
Mhm.
that we've not heard before. They ask about something that I believe it's in this one, because this is the scene I was talking about earlier, guys, when Aaron was like, "No, that hasn't happened yet." But they mention Krellian in this scene, don't they? Because they say no, he's in Akavi.
I don't. They do say that, but I don't remember
I don't know if it's this one or
I don't think they use the name yet, but they do. They do ask where he is. Like
Yeah,
they do.
I
they
think
do
they
one
actually
of
say
those.
Krellian.
They might. I'll have to
But
double check it.
Either way, it doesn't matter to
Yeah.
you guys, because anyway, when I was a kid, all of this flew right over my head.
Yeah.
This whole scene. But anyway, what it is they're talking about a certain liability that's loose.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, how many times is it awakened?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's like 4, and the other one's like, holy hell, 4.
He's like that. We can't.
Like 4.
Like, dude, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that
One was too many.
Yeah, one was too many, and it's bad enough. And they name drop so much because they're like, it's bad enough that
Lot
these
of proper
people
nouns.
these people are the freaking Animus. Like, by the way, speaking of that, how's the Animus relics going? And they're like, oh, that's going good.
Right. So they're talking about these people being the Animus, and there's Anima relics that they
Yeah.
need to find. So already.
Right over the head.
So already, it's funny because it wasn't until I was older that I played this that I was like, oh, Carl Jung.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid, I'm just like, Anima. I haven't even seen these characters yet. Like, at least give a portrait. What are these guys' names?
Yeah. Give me something here.
So anyway, they're all talking to each other, and they're like, okay, so how do we deal with this liability?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, anyway, what were you gonna say? You just gasped.
The one thing that I never caught on as a kid, I caught onto it this time. I don't think I caught onto it a couple times when I was playing it, but this is just a little neat thing. One thing I do like in that is they talk about how he has used the memory cube.
Yes,
And I just love that
your
because
save points are called memory cubes, and they're like, look, he's using the memory cube.
I love that.
We're getting the info.
Yeah, I just
we know
love
what he's doing.
that Xenogears is one of the few games that actually gave you a
Canonized
reason
its save
why
point.
there's
Yeah.
a save point.
But they're like, so 4, we can't deal with 4. Okay, we're gonna have to get rid of this guy. How do we get rid of him? Well, where is he?
Yeah.
He's in Kislev.
Yeah, he's in the capital, Nortune.
Yeah, they're like, okay. So
I love how it's one of them too. He's like, there's one that like only talks in like adjectives or something
Yeah.
like that, and he's just like, burn it.
Yeah.
He's like, disgusting, burn, eliminate, and that's like all it's like the red one, I think.
Like he's not allowed to use nouns. Yeah. It's like, look, when we reprogrammed you, we had room for verbs, we had room for adjectives. You're gonna have to get clever with nouns. We had
to take the nouns away. You were putting way too many capital letters in there.
So anyway, yeah, it's funny because it's like this whole meeting, it's that guy in the back that's just like, kill him. So they're like, okay, so what do we?
I don't know why that reminded me of Cotton. He's like the Cotton in the back.
But you don't hate your son. Yes, I do, but you don't, and his wife. So they're like, okay, four is 4 times too many. Yep. We need to do something that's getting out of hand.
We can't let this dude do this. We got our backups.
He's in Nortune. Look, I really like this proxy war we've got going on the ground, but I'm willing to get rid of it to get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
We're going to bomb it. And they're like, how bad are we going to bomb it? And they specifically say that they're going to bomb it so badly that life will not be able to exist in this area for 1,000 years.
Yeah, they're like, how bad is it? And one of them's like, the half-life on it will be 1,000 years before anything can be there again. They're glassing this city.
Basically, they're going on and on about how whatever this liability is that has woken up 4 times, it is worth destroying an entire civilization and making sure no civilization can exist there again. It's basically burning the body and salting the earth where it stood.
Yeah, because to the point, I almost forgot, and I mean, this isn't really important, but like they're like, yeah, there's a reactor there, right? All right. So they're going to bomb the hell out of it, as well as trigger that reactor to like double blow it up.
So
and just like just completely liquefy the town.
They want rid of it. And so that's basically that. They're like, we're gonna get rid of it. And then it cuts over to Seitan talking to the Emperor again.
Yep.
And Seitan is basically like, so what are we gonna do? And the Emperor's like, well, I'm pretty sure they're dead set. On just destroying the hell out of everything.
Yeah, it's funny because like the Emperor gets word of that during his conversation with Seitan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because like they're talking, and Seitan, he's kind of getting the same info. He's like, how many times has this dude woken up? And Seitan's like, I don't know, like 4. And he's like, oh, that's cool. He's like, all right, we'll go back. Well, hold on. He's like, something's coming down the vine. He's like, oh man,
it's the guy coming and whispering in Bush's ear.
He's like, oh man, Seitan, you're not gonna believe this. You are not gonna. Guess what's happening to the place I'm sending you back to.
You know that you're currently in. We're still not sure how this works.
You know how you love working for me? You know how you love doing this, buddy? Well, guess what? Nuclear holocaust.
Pizza party in the break room.
I like how Kane is now just this like weird bro boss.
Yeah, he's the boss that's trying to be bro.
That you have to act like you like, but you actually hate.
Because what it is the ones that act like you're bro are the worst ones.
They're always the biggest assholes.
There's the ones that are going to snap off the hardest. Because they believe they've built this rapport with you.
They're also the ones that are going to ask you more frequently to do things above and beyond what you should be doing.
Yes. I first noticed that trend with teachers.
Yes.
Hated the cool teacher.
Yeah.
Give me the buzz cut guy that barely likes children.
Give me the one that just wants to do his job and go home.
Give me the one that's checking that was like
be passionate about your subject. I'm down with that. If you're a science teacher, be about science, but like don't come over and try and high five me because like my freaking CO2 powered car won the race. Go away and give me my grade.
Right. It's don't do that.
I did win that race too. You sons of bitches.
We and in our day we didn't even have cell phones for our teachers to like look at, so they were listening to like the games on their radio, just blatantly in class, like not even trying to hide. But so anyway, the conversation is the Emperor doesn't care how many times this thing's awoken.
Yeah, he's not as concerned about it as these other dudes.
He wants to know, but he's not like in a panic over it. What he wants, what he's worried about is that they're going to blow it up. And he's like, Seitan, you need to go take care of that.
Yeah.
So
he's like, you need to be careful about this.
Now,
go do your thing.
We're meeting back up with Ellie.
Yeah.
And Ellie's being given a new assignment with her squad that wasn't taken away from her after her absolute failure in the mountains.
And they're all buddies with her now for the most part.
They're like, you know what? We saw you got your ass kicked, and now we respect you because...
They're like, not only you got your ass kicked, but you also did something that, like, only 3 people are supposed to be able to do, like, with your gear. So, like, I'm just going to be friends with you so you don't liquefy my brain.
Right. So,
except for one of them, it's after it. It's one of them smarts off when they're leaving the briefing, and she's like, are you ready to pay for the consequences of that? And he's like, oh, God.
But... So, this 18-year-old cadet is in charge of all these grizzled veterans.
Yeah.
And
they're probably all 20.
Their mission is to provide coverage for a Zeppelin that's going to be dropping bombs on Nortune.
Yep.
And Ellie's like, wait, I'm looking at the payload here, and one of these is supposed to be able to destroy an entire country.
Yeah,
and we're dropping 8.
Yeah, one of them's like 100-kilometer radius.
Whatever they want rid of, they want rid of it. So Ellie points this out, and she is, probably because of Faye's prodding, she's kind of like, is this necessary? She's like, look, I know I have my orders, but my orders are just to provide coverage for this thing, and that is all I'm going to do.
And we get a really cool scene there because she's telling this to her squad, and Rink is like, he's like, huh? And she's like, what? And he's like, nah, it's just like, we're all third-class citizens. Like, we're worker bees. Like, we came from the lambs. It makes sense that we would be upset about doing something like this, but you're pure blood. You're a pure blood.
Yeah,
you're
Ellie,
a first-class, pure Solarian. Why the hell do you feel this way? He's like, that's weird to me.
Yeah, and it's so...
And she's just like, whatever.
Right. She's just like, whatever. She's like, so she obviously has some sort of emotional outrage about this, but she's disguising it as like a logical like thing. But
she's not coming fully clean with her emotions about it, but she's clearly upset about the idea that like, they won't tell her what her mission is, and it's fishy. The whole thing stinks.
Yeah. This whole thing what are you not telling me? I love in those like narratives where the character's like, what are you not telling me? Every time they say that, the other person just basically says, I'm still not telling you, and the other guy's like, okay, I'm going to bring this up again in about 30 minutes. Like,
the guy's like, it's always something like, he's like, what aren't you telling me? He's like, you know I can't tell you this. And the guy's like, I'll go along with it, but if you try and stab me in the back.
And it's always like, I'm going to bring this up like 2 more times before you absolutely stab me in the back, and I'm going to act hurt.
I will be so surprised when it happens, even though I suspected you for this whole entire thing.
The thing that is actually coming to mind first is Metal Gear Solid.
I mean, that's literally the plot of Metal Gear.
Except at one point in Metal Gear Solid, to be fair, there's one point where Snake's like, Colonel, that's it. Tell me what's going on. And the Colonel actually has like an hour-long dialogue carefully explaining everything that's going on as the Colonel understands it, because it turns out that that's not true either.
I'll never forgive Snake specifically for actually buying Liquid's bullshit disguise with his aviators for half the game.
I love it.
Total side note, but
they come on and they're like, Master Miller's been dead for a week. It's like, what?
He's like, and they're like, Snake, the broadcast we've been monitoring this whole time, we just now noticed they're coming from inside the facility. And Snake's like, what? You mean this blonde-haired man I've been chasing is actually the blonde-haired man I've been talking to at the aviator? There's literally
you literally don't. What's funny is there's never a story moment where you have to contact Master Miller.
No,
ever.
No, you can just do it and chat with him.
I've done playthroughs where I forgot that Master Miller was a thing, gotten all the way to this scene, and Snake's like, "You mean this whole time I've been talking to you? Like,
you haven't been?"
Yeah.
I love how in the codec though, Liquid literally gives you the glass remove reveal. He's like, whips off his aviators dramatically and lets his hair down.
His luscious locks.
And then that's when Snake, this genius soldier, is like, you're not Master Miller.
Right.
Dummy.
It's
all that fox dye in your blood,
What
Snake.
a silly goose, you know?
He's just silly.
He needs to go out and get in the pond because he's being a silly goose.
This is why eugenics is bad, kids. You get silly gooses.
Anyway, back to this other game from 1998.
Yeah.
But really, like, yes. Oh, and it's kind of odd because they're like, we're third-class citizens, we're surface dwellers, but we're about the mission.
Yeah.
We got a job to do.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
They,
like, if we don't, we're screwed.
Right.
They're like, if we don't do this, they'll bust us back down to the lower levels.
Yeah.
And then what?
So Ellie is basically like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but under protest.
Yeah.
And guys, that's kind of where it's kind of an odd spot to stop, but it's kind of where we are stopping.
Yeah. There's so much being dumped right now in the game to where like there's so much happening, but there's so little happening at the same time.
Right.
But the thing is though, is it's because the game is building right now. Like kind of like I said last time, like when the whole fight for Ave began and the border fight happened and that Red Gear attacked the Bart and Ramses. This is the moment This is the tonal shift of the game. We get a couple of them throughout the game, but this is one of the big ones. And from that point on, through all of this, it is nothing but constant, more tidbits of information, constant mood shifts, constant beat down on the character. And like you're at this point, we're right in the middle of that. Like shit seems like it's gotten real. Like Faye's woken up in a different country in prison. It's getting ready to get more.
You ain't seen nothing yet. So, guys, like, subscribe, you know.
Hit up the Discord if you would like to talk to us. That would be nice.
Hit up the Discord. We're getting more people in, but I notice we get a lot of people and then they don't do anything. Guys, if you show up, like, seriously, just
say hi.
Just hop in.
We're literally not going to do anything other than ask you like what your favorite game is, what your favorite Pokemon is, and then possibly like if you play any TCGs, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's cool. But guys, this was kind of a weird episode, but it's a kind of a weird spot in the game.
It really is.
So things are going to be like happening lightning fast the next few episodes. So guys, can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, tune in. We'll see you then.